presentation or conversation about whether or not marijuana should be legal or not. We passed that road several years ago. It's really about access to juveniles and why we're trying to restrict access. And they'll be able to talk to you more about this in a couple of minutes. I can tell you, when I started police work 37 years ago, we threw people in jail if you had marijuana on you. And it didn't matter if it could be this much, we drove you down to jail. And then 1980s came around, late 80s, mid 80s, and the state says, oh, you've got to start giving people tickets for marijuana if it's less than an ounce. And we all said, oh my God, this is going to just ruin police work. And got up the next day, and the sun rose and the sun set, and the world went on, and nothing really unraveled. And then I came from California, I came up here, and after a couple of years up here, they legalized marijuana. And you go, oh my goodness. I'm not going to go to sleep tonight because I'm afraid the sun won't come up in the morning. And guess what it did? So we do know that marijuana is legal. We do have some issues with marijuana in our society now, and I can tell you, for me, as your police chief in the city of Battleground, my biggest concerns are access to minors and people operating motor vehicles.
I believe this was a 5-year number that the state was predicting, but they have earmarked $68 million for youth drug prevention out of the excise tax that we're paying in the marijuana business. So if you hate the marijuana business and you love youth and trying to keep it away from them, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. But we feel like we're doing our part in the state of Washington as business people to truly try to put money back where maybe it'll do some true good. Just to give you an idea, if you're a minor and you want to come into the Cannabis Country store, we made it to where there is a corral when you come just inside the door. For any of you that haven't come in, you don't believe in marijuana or anything like that, take a chance, come in and kind of see how the whole thing works. You come through the door, you come into a corral, you're checked for ID. You don't go inside the store, inside the main part of the store, until you've been checked for ID and we can clarify that you're 21. If you're 58, if you're 75, you're going to get checked for ID. You have to have your ID on you in order to come into that store, period. We don't play with the rules. We don't skirt the rules. We don't play in the gray area. So if you...
When the marijuana was legalized, we had already been working on projects for prevention. Many of us have worked together for years looking at environmental strategies, which means what do we do in our environment to influence and keep it healthier for our kids. So there's school programs, but then there's also community programs that we know will be more sustainable and really make lasting impacts. So just an example of what we're doing, we have a very aggressive social media campaign because we reached out to our kids and said, where do you get your information? Guess what they said? Social media. So we are, we have a campaign that we're reaching our young people and taking a little risks. We named it We Can Wait, and I don't know if any of you have seen that in the community, but it's really designed by youth and helping youth to encourage them that it can wait. It is legal, and we are not taking a position about whether or not adults should or shouldn't use, but we know that youth should wait and the reasons why. So the other big thing that we're measuring is perception of harm. And that is a really hard thing to encourage when it's legal and adults can use and it looks safe and they think it's medicine and it's natural and it's green and it grows in the ground and those are all true. So to a certain extent. For our young people, it's really not healthy or good. And so we try to just educate without saying don't do it, because we know that those techniques don't work either.
How harmful do kids think marijuana is? And whenever something becomes legal, people tend to think, oh, it must not be that bad. So perception of harm goes down. And when perception of harm goes down, use tends to go up because people are like, oh, what the heck, it's not that bad for me. It might be fun. I'll give this a shot. I'll look cool around my friends. So at the building levels, we have seen an increase in the number of kids who are getting caught with marijuana because there's been an increase in kids that are using. We teach the kids that basically your brain isn't fully developed, and so therefore it's not fully protected yet. It's like your shields aren't fully up, and so your brain is much more vulnerable to the effects of the drugs and the damage. So if you use marijuana, how is that going to affect you in a different way than an adult? And talk about that, how kids can actually get addicted faster and easier than adults because of that vulnerability, because their brains aren't fully protected yet. So there's just a lot that we're doing with education. There's also been a shift, as Joy mentioned, as far as trying not to suspend kids if they do get caught outside of school. There's a lot more time spent in school suspension, so that they're spending time on homework. We have access to them to provide them education, provide them help, and just sit down and talk to them about what's going on. And I think that's a really positive change, because I think you're very right that there were a lot of kids that if they got suspended, they had kind of an attitude of, well, forget this, I'm just going to go home and use more. And that wasn't helpful.
Our primary focus is awareness. We really appreciate tremendously the funds that Prevent Clark County has received, because they have provided us training opportunities for both our adults and for our youth. We have tied in with the Youth Now campaign. They did the video contest, the We Can Wait video contest, and our youth participated, and they received honorable recognition. They all shared the reasons why they wait for using marijuana, and it's called the Drug-Free Communities Grant, and we are required to try to work on more of the environmental strategies, which is why we're here tonight, is to talk about what the problem is with access. We know that it's not the retailers that are providing, we know it's family and friends, and so what can we do about that? We can only provide education to help you understand the importance of preventing youth from having access.
Not only for his own use, but because he was growing for other people who had medical marijuana licenses. It turned into a big operation, okay, without ever having any kind of oversight. And I know this is morphing all over the place.
It is, and I can tell you that that's something that everybody the retailers are frustrated with the medical marijuana system, the law enforcement's frustrated with medical marijuana system. It's really an unregulated mess, and every time they try to fix it, they make it worse up in Olympia.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
Yeah.
In July of 2016, it is illegal to grow marijuana other than a licensed 502 grower in the state of Washington.
Which is very regulated.
You can, if there are people out there that are growing it in their backyards and stuff like that, you do not have a medical card anymore unless you go to a 502 store.
Okay.
Now, where the problem lies is there's a lot of people out there that do, whether anybody wants to agree or not, they do use it for medical purposes. There's tons of research that says that there are positive uses for this product as far as medical goes. And all we're doing is we're giving them an 8.4% discount. What are they going to do? They're going to go to other people where they can get it less expensive, or without 45% tax, and you're going to have people that are out there making tens of thousands of dollars still.
At work and wherever we're going, how can we participate in reducing access to kids, educating, all this other stuff that's going on? What can the average person do that will solve this problem?
Just for me, I would like to see parents educated and lock up their marijuana, and lock up their alcohol, lock up the prescription drugs, because that is probably the number one place where these kids are getting all those three things. And so from a police point of view, I'd rather see these parents get educated, and then be accountable for locking these items up, and educating their kids on why they're locked up and why they shouldn't have access yet. And
I've got a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I had to sit down and talk to my kids about going into the marijuana business. And I was extremely concerned about that. My son, who's an Eagle Scout, who's a 4-year letterman in 2 different sports. He's a junior down at Oregon State right now. And so here I am, we've never condoned that thing ever in the past. And I'm telling my son, I said, Josh, I just want you to know, I'm thinking about getting into the cannabis business. And I said, I'm really concerned about what your opinion is on this and how you feel. He laughed at me. He says, Dad, if I want to get pot, I can get pot anytime I want. So it's a choice that he makes as an individual, whether it's what we instilled in him or not. And I know we all live in an extremely busy lifestyle, but it really gets back to parenting about, paying attention to your kids and if something does come up, to try to address it. And I'm in a glass house, I'm not trying to throw rocks, but I felt like I did a good job with both of my kids because my son is very adamant about right and wrong.
All this prevention, everything that we're doing, the school district's fantastic, the kids are fantastic. We're not a rich community. I tell people, we're not rich. We're not Camas, we're not Beverly Hills, we're not whatever. So we're not rich in wealth, but I can tell you that our community is rich in heart. That our community reaches out when there's something that goes on in our community and takes care of families that need it. They're aware of the issues we have in the schools with the kids. And they're very supportive of all these programs, whether it's the food bank, whether it's the medical clinic. People are there to help. So I just want to thank you as a community on behalf of me and the city and the rest of the community. So I want to thank you, and I know we're running out of time. I'll stick around if you have any questions, okay? Thank you.